I remember getting my PlayStation 1 and going and thinking the graphics were like absolutely out of this world and so realistic. And then you go back and look at the graphics and they look like this. Oh, nostalgia. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we are going to be playing with a Turbo Landfall deck. Before I get going here, let me just say I'm trying to bump my analytics up in the short term. I got a decent amount of water damage in the house, and I have to replace all of the insulation in my house. So please consider leaving a like or comment on this video for engagement, and try to avoid words like comment and engagement when you do so, and that would mean a lot. And if you are in the financial position to support my content, consider becoming a YouTube member for early access to my videos or doing a donation deck list to feature one of your own cool ideas on the channel. All right, so with that being said, here is John's deck, which I'm not going to edit much, but I'm going to talk about a couple of things that I want to edit. This is a time where the donor vision and what I think are optimal are very different, and so I'm going to discuss that, and then we're going to see who's right at the end of the league. So, we want to play one of Scythecat Cub or Tifa Lockhart on turn 2. Generally speaking, they both work the same way. Whenever a land you control enters, you're either going to double Tifa's power or put a +1/+1 counter on Scythecat Cub. And then if this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, you then double the number of +1/+1 counters on that creature instead. We also do have one more option. We also have Bristly Bill, which does a similar thing, but it's whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature instead. So Tifa doubles her own power, whereas the Scythecat Cub and Bristly Bill triggers can be pointed other places, which is very, very relevant for the Nadu that we see here. So when we go and use those Scythecat Cub and Bristly Bill triggers, we potentially will hit more lands, which will re-trigger our landfall creatures and allow us to do some pretty cool things. We are not a Nadu combo deck, though. At least not in the traditional sense. You don't see Shuko here, you don't see Nomads in core here as a way to just literally or effectively end the game on the spot. Instead, you are going to see some things like crop rotation. And the crop rotations are going to allow you to do things like play a land, fetch, cast crop rotation, get a fetch land, fetch again, and trigger landfall a ton of times in one turn. And when you double your thing that is already doubled, and then you double that again, and you double that again, even if you are starting out with a very small number like 1, it does ramp up pretty quickly. Now, here's where John and I have a difference of opinion. And I think John's reasoning is very valid. John wants to play Unstable Mutation in this deck. So, 1 mana, enchanted creature gets +3/+3, which is a pretty big boost. But at the beginning of the upkeep of enchanted creature's controller, put a -1/-1 counter on that creature. So, why do we want to play this? It's mostly because of Tifa, honestly. If you are starting out with 4 base power when you go and start doing your fetch land thing, it gets grosser much, much, much more quickly than if you are starting at 1. The other thing this card specifically does is it pitches to Force of Will. And if you take a quick look at the blue count here, the number of cards you actually have to pitch to Force of Will is pretty low unless you also do have this Unstable Mutation. So, like, this is the reasoning for playing that card, and I think that is valid reasoning. However, I think Unstable Mutation is not a Legacy Caliber card. And I would rather have either something that combos with Nadu, like Shuko in there, or maybe we expand into another color. We pick up white for Nomads and or Shaman in core, and we get that angle going for the deck as well. This is something that targets, so it will trigger a Nadu. There are those things going for it. But I really just wonder, like, are we better off with a Tamiyo as a 1-drop blue card that could pitch to Force of Will than we are with Unstable Mutation? And I'll kind of passively track this today and see how good we actually think it is going to be. As far as the sideboard goes, this is relatively solid, and I kept most of what John had originally submitted here. I think I added 1 copy of Force of Negation. I really want a second one. Legacy is so combo heavy right now, and sometimes 1 Force of Negation is not enough. I think I had a game recently where I played 3 Force of Negations before turn 4, and I died anyway. And so I really want another one of those in here, but I feel like I need all of the endurances. I need that Collector Oof Silver Bullet. I don't have real removal in this deck, as we are base green-blue instead of base Bant. So I don't get Prismatic Endings and Swords to Plowshares in here. And that means Legolas's Quick Reflexes is not only a protection spell for our big turn, but it is also one of our only ways to actually remove things that get in the way. Now, admittedly, a decent number of our creatures either have flying or trample, and that does help out with that problem a little bit, but I'm still passively worried about that. And because we don't really have real removal, that means we need something flexible like Brazen Borrower in our sideboard, whereas I also might like to fit Force of Vigor into this sideboard, as well as that other Force of Negation. I like Bojuka Bog a lot as a tutor target, though. The game 1 deck doesn't really have anything exciting to go and get off of crop rotation. It is just like, I am going to landfall so hard. Like, you would like to win the game on turn 3 a decent portion of the time. I don't know that you have room for Bojuka Bog in game 1. I feel ever so slightly awkward about the sideboard numbers, but I don't really know how to change them. Of the stuff in the main deck, I think Unstable Mutation is the worst card, and I'm unsure about crop rotation. So I think this is the point where we go ahead and jump into the league here and just see how this one performs. I had a lot of fun the last time I played Landfall, so I am looking forward to this. Oh, one last thing. Springheart Nantucket was another thing that I thought about for this deck, which I really like in the traditional Nadu decks when you are truly comboing off with them. I think it's a little worse here. So I thought about it and then didn't go and add it. Folks, should you need any Magic cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. They are awesome. I love working with them. I visit them every time I go to an in-person event. I look for this purple banner, and there's usually really sweet duels under there and other old Eternal cards, often with really good deals on like HP, MP stuff. But if you're ordering online, promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order every single time. All right, let's battle. Game 1, round 1, I've got a tough choice. I have a hand that has 2 mana to play Scythecat Cub. I have the ability to crop rotation that land and potentially put a lot of counters on this. The hand has Force of Will backup. I don't have the mana to get to Nadu. This is very good if I rip another land. I think I am going to try to keep this one, but this is fully a hand that I might do where I just do not play Magic at all. Ooh, that's pretty. One of the Final Fantasy lands. That's 7. Is that just like boost on a chocobo hunt or what? I'm not sure. All right. Hierarch and pass. Upside is real big for a fetch land specifically as the draw. Oh, that's bad. I don't think it's Force of Will bad, but it's bad. Fuck. Yeah. Did not even get to like untap and have my crop rotation available to avoid that. F. That's Legacy, baby. Basic Island comes back, and we've got Ponder. I didn't Force of Will the days on my creature out of fear that my opponent might be something like Show and Tell, which is now less likely. What is the most confusing thing that I can possibly discard? I believe that is Unstable Mutation. So we're going to discard that one. I am a master at Magic sometimes. I don't understand, and it makes me scared. Smiley face. Or Steelcutter.deck? Probably. Force of Will. Pitch a Nadu. Fuck. Why is their days so good and my days is so bad? That's not fair. I think I will play one more turn of Magic. I think if I miss my next land drop, I am at that point effectively dead. I think there's some timeline where I can hit a green land, do Green Sun, play Scythecat Cub, and like maybe do something cool. Or Steelcutter.deck. I'm at 13. Alright, I missed my land drop. I will pack it in there. Opponent's got me. So I would like this pile of endurances, and I want to think about Brazen Borrower and 3 Legolas's Quick Reflexes. I think the first thing that I'm going to do is cut crop rotation. If I'm not going to bring in Bojuka Bog to try to fight the graveyard, then I don't know that setting myself up for blowouts versus Daze and Force of Will is a great idea. Then next I have to decide whether or not I want to Force of Will. Answering Corey Steelcutter and Murktide Regent might be important enough that I want to do that, despite the fact that my opponent will be a Pyroblast deck in post-board configuration. These 8 cards are kind of tied together here. I could simply just slow down my game and not account for Force of Will at all. Use Endurance to check Murktide and Dragon's Rage Channeler. I have plenty of things my opponent has to interact with early on. I could simply go up Bojuka Bog as an ETB tapped land that helps me cast the 3 Endurances that I'm bringing in. And then I keep 1 crop rotation or 1 Force of Will to round things out. 1 Force of Will. Okay, my hand is great. I have to play the, am I doing the basic land game here? I think I am not with this much mana. I'm going to just play out a Noble Hierarch, call it a turn. I can then use the second one of these to get a Hedge Maze instead of being locked in to Island and Forest. All right, opponent liked their card for Ponder. I think I'm going to drop land, play Noble Hierarch, just attack for 2, always yield to that. Drop my opponent to 17, and then next turn I've got Endurance around, well, maybe not anymore. Do I want to do this with Hedge Maze? No, I don't want to get Dazed back. Daze. That is a Force of Will. That is happening. But that means that my opponent is not getting a creature with Corey Steelcutter this turn, so that, at the very least, is worth something. Yeah. Hedge Maze. I don't want that land. I will save that land for as long as possible. And then I am going to go ahead and just cast this right now. Clear my opponent's graveyard. Nice. We played that around Daze, and now I can still just go ahead and attack in for 2. Next turn I've got an Endurance that attacks for 5. It's taking some time to manipulate their cards. That's fine with me. There's the second card for Corey Steelcutter. Another land drop. I can cycle that bauble, take a look at what I'm working with over here, and then get a redraw. Ooh, I think I'm interested in an Endurance attack first here. And in with that, turn this into a 5/6 creature. See how my opponent is feeling in terms of blocking. They're not feeling blocking. They're at 9. I will go ahead and play a Scythecat Cub here. I'm kind of interested in getting this outside of Lightning Bolt range, but that's kind of difficult to do with my opponent currently having the Lightning Bolt available. So I think what I'm going to do is avoid Daze on Endurance and just Bojuka Bog my opponent's graveyard. I will start scaling up the Scythecat Cub so that next turn when I play the fetch land, the first trigger gets it outside of Lightning Bolt range. It's Lightning Bolt on the Scythecat Cub. That is fine. We've got prowess. Then there's a Delver. This is going to make another body for Corey Steelcutter. And a Thundering Falls. Opponent likes their card. They're going to swing in for a little bit of damage. That's fine. Brainstorm. I am okay casting that now. Might trade with a Reb. Quick Reflexes. Interesting. I am least interested in Tifa here. Let's go bam and bam with the intention of fetching those away. With this land, I think I'm going to go ahead and go cast. No, I'll wait on that. I think I'm going to go ahead and go Quick Reflexes on Endurance just to go ahead and use that as removal. Then I will send in. I'm going to kill the... I don't super care about the Delver. I'm going to kill the Monk, actually. I think I am more scared of cantrip, 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 cantrip than I am Delver Flip. The opponent's at 4. Then I will go ahead and cast an Endurance on my own turn in respect of Corey Steelcutter. Clear out my opponent's graveyard yet again. And I will have a Hedge Maze at end of turn and multiple copies of Endurance beyond this. Opponent has Unholy Heat, which is only going to do 2 damage. They certainly do not have Delirium. Let's pop that out so I don't forget that. Now let's Hedge Maze. Dryad Arbor ever? think Hedge Maze is still better. Nice. I will go ahead and play that pre-combat. There's a Pyroblast opportunity yet again. There we go. So I know that Unholy Heat is coming. So my opponent will have a 4/4 and a 2/2 if they cast that. I can have a 5/4 Endurance, which could trade with Monk Token and Unholy Heat. Or I could just pass the turn here, which I think is what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to play this one conservatively. I wanted to play the Nadu pre-combat to make Unholy Heat more awkward. So now my opponent gets a Monk, but they are taking a Noble Hierarch instead of taking one of my Endurances with it, which I think overall is a pretty big win for me. Alright, so now we are going to see the, like, prowess stuff start to pop off. Delta to shuffle. And opponent is just passing the turn here. Oh no. We are moving the Quarry Steelcutter to the Delver, so that it evenly trades with an Endurance. So I can attack with 1/4/5 that evenly trades with Delver or gets chumped. Or I attack with 2 3/4s, one trades with Delver, and then maybe one gets chumped. I think I am into double Endurance attack here. Would like to take bodies off the board so that Tifa has an easier time trampling through for the final points of damage. Okay. Hopefully there's no spell here. F, there is an Unholy Heat on my Hierarch. I don't love that. This is slightly worse than I thought it was going to be for me. But now we're both top decking. My opponent may have another Surveil land that they get to use here. Nope. So this is just full on who top decks better. My opponent's cantrips are very good here. Yep, my opponent can't possibly attack. Tifa is the worst to draw in my deck from this position. I have to pass the turn. Delver is a fine draw. That potentially allows my opponent to play Sword and Shield. How is Hierarch? I attack with a 2/3. That seems fine. Yeah. Send it. Trigger. Alright, so we are going to see the double block here. I think I'm killing the Monk token again. Yeah. And then I play new Tifa. Delver triggers. Ah, damn, Lightning Bolt is so good. So then we see the equip. An opponent is just passing the turn. They are not firing off that Lightning Bolt yet. We'll see if my draw of Force of Will there punishes them for doing that. Delver not attacking. We're chilling. That is a Scythecat Cub. Very, very good draw. If I do that, my Force of Will turns off temporarily. I think I wait on that just a second. Alright, yeah, we are just playing Draw Go here. It's not something that I super expected. This might just eat a Pyroblast. I'm going to accept that if that happens. Ooh, it did not. These are good cards now. I think I'm doing this and this. Playing Bristly Bill. Playing Scythecat Cub. Now I do this. So, Tifa trigger on bottom. Tifa will be 2 power. Then I want to force Lightning Bolt or block. One of those does that. That is a 2 power creature that doubles to a 4 power creature. I can guarantee it on Tifa this turn if I put another counter on there. But I think I am interested in spreading out the counters in kind of an annoying way. Okay, so I succeeded at getting Tifa dead while still putting a counter here, which means that the 5-mana ability, never mind, of this card is live. Ooh, Bristly Bill, still alive. The next turn I draw Nadu, then I draw Force of Will. Quarry Steelcutter is so good. That is a Meltdown, which is cast purely for a Monk token. What is my opponent trying to melt down? Shuko, I guess? Alright, I'm taking that hit. I'm at 8. I think my opponent's going to win this game. Yeah, so they move that, so Bristly Bill has a harder time attacking in. My opponent has to chump, though, because of Exalted. So I send in with this. My opponent chumps. Then I play Nadu. I know my next card is not great. Nadu is lethal in the air. My opponent can move Quarry Steelcutter to Delver to help out with that. But it doesn't fully solve the problem. Yep. Wow, everybody is crashing in. So what does that mean? My opponent has Lightning Bolt. 4+7 is not lethal. I think I go ahead and block this, and if something happens, it happens. There's already 4 card types in there for Unholy Heat. Alright, so that is Lightning Bolt on Nadu. That's going to trigger. I'm going to get my Force of Will. My opponent is currently dead to a Bristly Bill attack with Exalted at 4. I don't think there's anything better than holding up Force of Will here. Combat. Attacks. Trigger. Heyo. That was a tight game. Corey Steelcutter is an insane Magic the Gathering card. And this is why I was kind of talking about those Force of Vigor effects in the sideboard as something that I wanted. I'm happy with the boarding configuration overall. That game definitely showed off why I wanted to get rid of Force of Will. What about playing one Unstable Mutation as just get these friends out of Lightning Bolt and Unholy Heat range? I don't know that that's better than having an out to a Corey Steelcutter at the appropriate time, though. This hand is great. I will keep this one. I would like to draw more mana, but I think that is often going to be the case with my opening hands. Yes. I don't really want to Daze. I might need to. I don't really want to, because I just kind of lose out on so much if I cast that card. I would be willing to Daze something like a Corey Steelcutter, but I don't know that I get to Daze something like another DRC or Delver that comes down. Especially now. Ooh, hey, it's Corey Steelcutter. I should have let that resolve first before I made this play. De La Vie. Float blue, another DRC to graveyard, and I will attempt Daze. My Daze is not Dazeable. Alright, fantastic. We don't have to have a repeat of the previous game, where that just generates a bajillion D-chump blockers. That is a cool card for a little bit later. Now we're gonna almost certainly see this become a 3-3 this turn. And another Wasteland. I have 2 basics in this deck. Understood. So, the future lands that I get are not going to be ideal. I am going to throw a Tifa into their red removal first, with the hopes that a Scythecat Cub or a Nadu ends up sticking a little bit later. This Tifa is actually not very good right now. It is a 1-2 trampler that does not kill DRC with quick reflexes. But again, my hope is fully that this eats a removal spell and something else survives, which did happen. Dunking a Pyroblast, that's fine. I'll take 3. I'm at 11. This time, I think I will play a Scythecat Cub. That's a Force of Will. Pitching a Delver. The opponent does not have very much gas left. They have a lot of their resources tied up in these wastelands, which currently aren't usable. But I might just die, especially now. My opponent's double colorless sources, though, mean it's a little harder for them to double spell. Nice, which did happen. I'm at 8. I will play a new Scythecat Cub, hoping for the best here. Rough. I think I now need a land to stick a Nadu and force DRC to attack into it. Bulk comes back down. I'll take 3. Notably, opponent did not equip Corey's Steelcutter there for 4 damage instead, which means that they have something else that they want to play. That play is weird to me, though. If you have the Ponder, I think you do it pre-combat, in case you do end up in a multi-spell situation, which you could by hitting a Bobble off of Ponder, for example. Brainstorm. I think that's a nope from me. I think I just play Bristly Bill, and the hope here is that I go land drop, counter, quick reflexes, kill this, and my opponent doesn't cast multiple spells. That would be the dream. Ugh. There's a delta to clear that, and unfortunately this means that my opponent is probably swinging in for 5 or more points of damage here. Yeah, so that's Unholy Heat. That kills my creature. Corey Steelcutter makes a friend, and then I am dead on board. I have all the cards in the world. They are fantastic in this matchup, but doesn't matter if you are dead. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Alright, I have kept my opening hand here. Opponent has basic Swamp. I have plenty of mana here. I think I am interested in Dryad Arbor on turn 1 off of Tropical Island, so I can still daze something like an Entomb. So, yeah, Dryad Arbor, and pass. No Entomb. That's great. Wasteland's kind of whatever. It's more annoying on Trop than on Dryad Arbor, which my opponent does, obviously. Clearly better line. Didn't get followed up with something like a Fatal Push, though, so I guess that's nice. I am absolutely willing to just go for another Tropical Island here and drop a Scythecat Cub. And then next turn gets to be sweet. Double Scythecat Cub, and then play a fetch land. Cat's gone wild. Ooh, it is blue-black, so my daze doesn't counter that. And here I was hoping we were going to play against a cool deck like Pox. The new, what is it, Eumidian Hatchery? Spellbomb's fine. You can have that. I don't care if that cantrips. Card's not dazeable right now, even. Sweet. That is a Force of Will pitching a Murktide Regent. This is dazeable, though, so I'll bounce Tropical Island here. So this gets to hit play. I think I'm fine with this. Just do this immediately. Fetch the land. Get yet another Trop. Do that on Scythecat Cub. There's the extra counter. I'm going to cast a Brainstorm around Orcish Bowmasters now. I will put back land, and then I'll hide Brainstorm on... No, I'll hide a Green Sun on top. Yeah, I'll hide a Green Sun on top. That's fine. Yep, so opponent's stuck on mana, so they're just going to cycle their Spellbomb. My graveyard really does not matter to me right now. Oh, no more land. Uh-oh. So we are going to go land drop. Trigger for the +1/+1 counter. And then we will fetch. And wouldn't you know it, we've got yet another Tropical Island. We'll go ahead and grab that. We'll do the counter on Scythecat Cub there. Then, well, I guess I can attack at this point. Send in for 8. I could attempt to Brainstorm for a crop rotation here for even more damage. I think that's a little greedy. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this for X equals 2 and pick up another friend. Let's just get another Scythecat Cub. And hopefully we don't die to Entomb plus Reanimate instantly. We did not. So we don't know how far down the Reanimator rabbit hole my opponent is yet, I don't think. Either way, even if it's just fair stuff like Endurance, I'm 100% interested in this card. It's like the secondary stuff, like the counter spells that are a little more fuzzy until I know what exactly my opponent is packing. I think I'm going to sideboard a lot like the previous round, where I become more of a green deck and less of a blue deck. I think I'm going to try without the Force of Wills for this game, and I can play even more fair stuff. Like, I just have such a good, massive pile of fair things, so I go down those, and then go down Crop Rots, or keep Crop Rots hedging against Reanimator. I'll keep Crop Rots hedging for Reanimator. I'll go down some Dazes. I don't know how much I like Daze in this deck. Like, I understand wanting to protect the low-to-the-ground threats, but in these post-sideboard configurations, it's really, really, really awkward if I am dazing and I have a hand of like Nadu, Nadu, Endurance, Endurance. I'm going to play Crop Rotation and pass the turn here, I think. Or, well, I'm going to leave Crop Rotation available. Think off of this land. I think I'm going to try to hold this until turn 3. Are you entombing? It is Hedge Maze instead. One that has more colors than I would have suspected. My Brainstorm is a little awkward into potential Orcish Bowmasters. I am accordingly not going to cast that. I'm going to offer up a Tifa to the gods of removal. I've resolved. Feeling a Sheoldred's Edict. It is Bowmasters. Why we didn't cast that at the end of my opponent's turn? I will take 1. Generally speaking, how do I feel like I have boarded... Oop, don't need to see the dungeons. Versus a control deck. Honestly, pretty darn well. Push is fine. I will take 2 here and be okay with that. Brainstorm is fine. I wonder if the deck needs like a Talon Gates of Madara, either main or side. Like go up to a 21st land, dropping probably what is it, Unstable Mutation. So yeah, Force of Will. I accept that. I think I don't play my land until I get value off of it. As weird as intentionally missing land drops is. Cantrips are fine. Things that aren't putting up the beanstalk style cards into play and Tameo style cards into play are good with me. I can 1-for-1 with my opponent for a little while and not be scared, but it's when my opponent starts casting Rakshasa's Bargain and Up the Beanstalks and Tameos and stuff of that nature that I start getting worried. Kaitos. So I think I go for Scythecat Cub here. So there's land drop 1 for my +1/+1 counter. Do a regular fetch, I think just for Hedge Maze here. I think I'm not going to like try to Bojuka Bug immediately or anything. So this is a 4/4. I'd rather find Nadu or Green Sun. Tifa is an okay draw. Even Legolas's Quick Reflexes is kind of nutty right now. Ooh, buddy. Death Toucher, pretty rough here. I don't have any sort of protection here. Well, I guess technically I have Daze, right? So, land drop, +1/+1 counter. That's a 5/5. Land drop, go up to 6 +1/+1 counters. That's 8 total. 9, 10, 11, 12. I can deal a lot of damage, but it's just not going to be lethal. I guess there's timelines where my opponent doesn't block. I don't see that happening. I think I'm getting in there. So yeah, opponent is going to block. I think I save the land in play for Tifa later and just accept the trade as is. Crop rotation doesn't save me. I've still got cards in my own graveyard, so I can't just go Juka Bog my way out of this. So there's Tifa. And then presumably if my spells are resolving next turn, Tifa just kills from 22 through blockers. Like I can double Tifa's power 5 different times. Daze? I think I'll daze that. I'm gonna return island. That is a tapped land. Love to see that. Noble Hierarch 2. So double that power. Play Noble Hierarch. Go to combat. Declare attackers. Attack. Exalted trigger. I am up to 3 power. Opponent does not block. Well, opponent, I have some thoughts about your life total that I'm going to share with you. Tropical Island. Double Tifa's power. We're up to 6. I'm going to flip blue here and get rid of Island. I think it's my worst land. Crop rotation. Sacrificing Island. That is a Force of Negation. That is very good. That's happening. And then I will go crop rotation, sacrifice a tropical island. I will go ahead and get a wooded foothills. We're going to double Tifa's power up to 12. Then I'm going to fetch 1 final time and double Tifa's power to 24 with, I think, a Dryad Arbor. Opponent says, holy hell, lol. Yep. Just casual 1 power creature gaining 23 power over the course of a turn. That's what we're there for. That's the match win. So we were a little unsure what exactly my opponent was playing. We didn't expect the bug stuff. But the dazes did some work in keeping that second Goyf from sticking, and we pulled through. GG's. Okay. We're Landlight again, which I don't like. I could keep this and try to play a get Hedge Maze, daze with it, play it again, dig towards land sort of game, or I could just mulligan this one. I think on the draw, I'm going to mulligan this one and just hope for something a little smoother. How am I feeling about this on 6? I'm going to keep this on 6. The turn 1 Noble Hierarch that I can't play isn't exactly perfect here. That's not the land I'm looking for, but that is. Never didn't have it. No worries. Then I guess the next question will become, like, do I intentionally miss a land drop to play out Noble Hierarch and preserve the fetch land for Scythecat Cub later, because I'm not guaranteed to have additional woozy whatsits. Stock up is resolving. So we are almost certainly playing against Sneak and Show here. And the Lotus Petal means that my dazes are not going to be the most potent at disrupting my opponent's combo. This is where we want those Force of Wills. I think this is going to be a matchup where we're not boarding out Unstable Mutation, by the way. Alright, I think I'm going to play Naked Scythecat Cub, but I'm thinking about playing Naked Tifa. You know what? I'm not happy with that phrasing. The internet's too weird. Uh, so the upside of Tifa is pretty high. This is more consistent damage, I think. All right, I have double days available, which I am going to absolutely use here. This first one stops the Lotus Petal, and hopefully the second one actually resolves. The opponent will pay. Please have nothing, please have nothing, please have nothing, please have nothing. Alright. The good news is, I'm not dead this turn. The bad news is, I'm almost certainly dead my following turn. Well, hope for the best. And fetch. Get a trop. Put another counter on. Drop a hierarch. Punch in for 4. Then 5. But opponent's at 9 here. And I am potentially eating some number of Emrakul, Arcana of Cruelty, Atraxa, Worldspine Worm if opponent is feeling saucy. Here we go. Damage report. Bad. Atraxa trigger. Reveals Emrakul. Fully dead. That'll do. Very notably, opponent's build contains Chalice of the Void, so they are not on traditional cantrips. Force of Negation is good. Brazen Borrower is playable. I think that's about all that I can say there. Do I want to attempt to consign Atraxa triggers or Emrakul triggers or anything like that? That doesn't feel great. The giant body there is still a huge problem. If I see the One Ring or what is it? Yggdrasil, the World Tree, maybe I board that in for the next game. Don't have a Caracas to crop rotation for. That's another thing that I could have potentially included in the sideboard. And I think Nadu is not great here, actually. Yeah, in fact, I think I'm just going to preemptively do that. That's just a thing that attacks for 2 power and shuts off Lotus Petal and maybe a little bit more. I do like Unstable Mutation here as something that accelerates my clock and pitches to Force of Will. Island bites me in the butt here. This hand is capable if that's not Island. Ooh boy. This is a keep. I think I'm pitching Brainstorm. I think I need both Green Suns here. I do need to use this fetch land on turn 1, so I have days available. My deck keeps showing up under my cards for today. Let's try moving it over there. There's Dryad Arbor. Pass turn. I don't expect to need days on turn 1, but, you know, Lotus Petal, Ancient Tomb is a thing. I'm not interested in countering that, I don't think. I'm going to take a look. Yeah, I'm not interested in countering that. I will just hopefully Green Sun for a scaling threat and not have to worry too much from there. I could get the oof. I'm not going to. I think it is correct to get Scythecat Cub or Tifa for the damage output, but let the record show that if my opponent somehow sticks a 1 ring, I would be sad, but I am hoping that does not happen given this degree of disruption. Alright, that is Island and Pass. That is Island. Yep, okay. Island and Pass. Gonna be another Scythecat Cub? Question mark? It's definitely a Green Sun for 2. I feel confident about that much. 16. It's possible the second one should just be Collector Oof. I could get Tifa, and then Fetch Land is crazy. So, Cat counter on Tifa, Tifa to 2, Tifa trigger, double to 4, fetch, 1/1/1 counter to 5, Tifa trigger double to 10, be attacking for 12 to 13 damage next turn. That's a lot if I hit the hypothetical fetch. I think I'm willing to live in that timeline. Okay, no other land drops from my opponent. My days remains live. Hell yeah. So Tifa trigger on bottom, then Scythecat Cub trigger on top. Tifa to 4. Go to punchies. Send in. No blocks. Fetch. I can hedge maze here even. So hedge maze, then Tifa on bottom, Scythecat Cub on top. So now we'll double this up to that 10 power. I'll keep that. That's fine. That is 13 damage, putting my opponent to 3. My opponent cannot now Ancient Tomb and Force of Will afterwards, which seems like a big deal. Tifa going Paunch. Do I want to play Consign in respect of Chalice of the Void? Because I don't have Force of Vigor. If my opponent has it, it just comes down on turn 1. If they've got it, they've got it. This sure doesn't interact with my opponent. Maybe I don't need to immediately? Double crop rotation is just going to kill super easily if I play a Tifa or a Scythecat Cub, probably Tifa. I think I am just looking to Goldfish on turn 3 and hope that that's fast enough. Bristly Bill. Sure. So I'll fetch 2 Trop, 2 Noble Hierarch. Now the hope here is for an untapped land, so that I can Green Sun for Tifa, and then go for a kill the following turn. Alright, opponent did not want Atraxa. Oh, opponent doesn't have more land and they don't have cantrips. Hot damn. That's my untapped land. Yup. I'm good with that. Get Trop and get Tifa. Oh yeah. You gonna fucking limit break all over the place? Oh no, opponent. Oh, and I get days. The crop rotations chain into each other too. Yeah. There's Bill. So Tifa trigger on bottom, Bristly Bill trigger on top, targeting Tifa. Double Tifa's power to 4. Prevail 1, doesn't matter what I do with it. I will leave that in my deck. I will go to combat. I will increase Tifa's power with Exalted. We'll go to blocks. I will go green, crop rotation, sacrifice Hedge Maze. Oh, and the numbers are going to go up. So Tifa trigger on bottom, Bristly Bill trigger on top. That is 6. I now will double to 12. I will keep that trigger on bottom here. Get another Trop. Keep the doubling trigger on bottom. Put another trigger on Tifa. Tifa's up to a 7. That is 14. That is 28. I can make the numbers bigger. I don't think I need to. Yeah. Good job, Tifa. GG's. Alright, we are paired against Fenris Cloud, who often plays Infect. And I think Infect is going to be a faster version of what we are doing. So I'm a little worried that we're going to lose the speed race, because I need to deal 20 points of damage and my opponent needs to deal 10. Oh? That's a tank. Wasn't expecting that. Unstable Mutation not looking great. I can do a very awkward play island, cast Brainstorm, put back Dryad Arbor, Unstable Mutation, and then shuffle. Or I can just have a slightly awkward time in the medium term, which I think is what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to play out Dryad Arbor past the turn, and then have the intention of green sunning for a Tifa, and just suiting her up and mutating the fuck out of her. And 7 power Tifa plus fetchland is just lethal. That's the game plan and the timeline that I am working towards. Okay, I don't know if my opponent had some connection issues or what, but they are back. Okay, my opponent appears to be doing something else while playing. They have played a Tamiyo, which I might try to daze. No, dazing, it doesn't make sense with Tundra open. Okay, that is happening. I got the answer. I will respond to that, though. So my opponent says, sorry about that. Ice cream van passed by and my daughter really wanted an ice cream. Can't blame you. Good dad, Fenris Cloud. Alright, I did not hit my own days. So what's my plan? Am I green sunning for Tifa or am I just playing Scythecat Cub? I think I'm green sunning for Tifa. Bam, bam. Tamiyo's annoying. Like, the Tamiyo minus pickup Swords to Plowshares is a massive problem for me. In which case, is Scythecat Cub bait? Maybe I get Tifa and my opponent... Fuck, of all players, my opponent will know to respect Tifa. No, I have seen him tweeting screenshots of Tifa in other formats, I think. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is go Scythecat Cub, land drop, still put the counter here, I think, pass turn, and then maybe this makes it around the table, maybe it doesn't. Hard to say. I don't know exactly what deck my opponent is playing yet. There's the fetch to clear that Brainstorm. Bant. We might be an actual Bant control deck, okay. So, I'm not proud about what I'm about to do. but it is going to make for a really fucking cool screenshot. uh, fuck that Tamio in particular. All right, there it is. There's the unstable mutation big brain play. Okay, that was worth the price of admission of the league right there. What else is going to be the top end of this deck? Burrow, Murktide Regent. There's a Swords. It's a 3-for-1. It's okay. That's okay. So I will Green Sun. I think I'm going to go Scythecat Cub over Tifa. Like, I really just want my opponent to be dead, but I kind of... Oh, no. I kind of lost a lot of the stuff that was going to power up a Tifa. Okay. Cool. I will Brainstorm. Crop rotation feels like it's going to be gross if it works. And that is a big if. So I think I keep... maybe I can't just try to wait my opponent out while they've got that. Okay. Yeah. Trigger. There's 4. Fetch. Edge Maze. Trigger. There's a 10 power creature. There's a Nadu. I love that. Attack out of spite. The hell with your 1-ring protection. Opponent is at 17. Facing down a Scythecat Cub that is certainly lethal. And hopefully another Scythecat Cub that is also lethal. So... Shit. Okay. Well, there's a Nadu. So much with me thinking I was going to get some value out of targeted removal. This 1-ring is going to fucking bury me. So my opponent is going to have so much interaction for me. I'll get a card there. And this is where I don't have like crop rotation for Talon Gates, which is something that I brought up as something that might be good. Ooh. There's some awkwardness here now. I'll draw another green source at some point to turn on this crop rotation. Opponent's going to go down to 11. There's a Tamio. There's a Tamio Planeswalker. Tamio pluses. Prismatic Ending is great. Sure. Tifa's not doing me any favors right now. So, there's a fetch. Opponent is at 6. They will draw 5 more cards from their 1-ring. Presumably now play a new 1-ring, and yeah. Now life's not great. Their win condition may purely just be draw half my deck. Figure it out from there. Let's get a feel for what they are discarding. Alright. Got an awful lot of nothing going on. Burrow looks to be the rest of the top end. I think my opponent's got this one if I don't draw a land. Well, I mean, the Tamio also just kind of does it, right? Realistically speaking. That puts my opponent back to 9. Sure. I think I can wiggle and waste another 3 to 4 minutes of my opponent's clock. I don't think I'm going to farm time versus the person who got ice cream for their daughter. I'm willing to call it there. This is target creature, so this is not going to hit flipped Tamio. I'm not actually great versus flipped Tamio, huh? I want 4x endurance for Uro. I want Collector Oof for the 1-ring. And I maybe want some of this stuff. I could consign for the 1-ring instead. My opponent has so much removal, including Supreme Verdict. Makes my Nadus worse. I'm very torn on this card, because part of me just wants to try to cheese a win with Tifa as quickly as possible, and the other part of me knows that this is just setting me up for vicious 2-for-1s or worse. I think these are going... How do I feel about crop rotation? Or bog. Kind of into it. I'm not gonna get Brazen Borrower in there. Blue count is so bad for these Force of Wills. Okay. I think my blue count is too bad for those. I think I'm gonna play a couple of consigns for the 1-ring. This is fine. Back to basics is a thing. Oh well. Hierarch pass. And ponder, which I'm going to let resolve so I can just play a Nadu on my turn. I will grab basic forest here. That is a Force of Will pitching Supreme Verdict. I'm going to daze the shit out of that. So that should hopefully get me another card when my opponent inevitably uses a Swords to Plowshares type card on that Nadu. A Volcanic Island. Holy shit. Harsh Mentor. Yeah. If it isn't a mana ability, means that my fetchlands will trigger that. But my Noble Hierarchs are mana abilities, so that doesn't. I have a couple different ways to play this turn. I think I am into this way. The land drop, trigger on Nadu, get an Endurance, Green Sun for 0, get a Dryad Arbor, trigger that on Nadu, get a Tifa, go to Punchies for 5, and then 6 in the air. And we're going to come in under something like Supreme Verdict here. Yeah. An opponent just respecting their clock concedes there. That was a pretty disgusting draw on my end. So now I know about Harsh Mentor, which is not as bad for me as if I was a full-on Nadu combo deck. But do I want to respect it with something like Brazen Borrower, or do I want an extra consign on the draw? I don't really want to overload on consign. This is a fine hand. I think I kind of have to lean into back to basics being good against me, though. Misty and pass so that I can potentially hedge Maze. Opponent has fetch land number 2. Fetch. Hedge Maze. I will take the fetch land. I'm going to offer up one of my 2 copies of Tifa to whatever my opponent's first removal spell is, and pass the turn. No play from my opponent there. Third land drop. I imagine this is going to be Prismatic Ending, which is not dazable, and I am correct. Kind of into Scythecat Cub. Nadu is so good to just play, though. Then I hopefully do Scythecat Cub Crimes next turn. I will get an island in respect of back to basics, even though my opponent is not showing those sorts of lands right now. Nadu in play. Volcanic Island. You have a ton of different lands over there. Easiest days of my life. All bounce drop. Pitching Supreme Verdict. Okay. Now, opponent does not have many cards left, but obviously the One Ring is insane. I'm gonna brainstorm here. And Sign, you are just the tiniest bit too late. I'm gonna put that back. Put back a Noble Hierarch. Use Green Sun. Fuck. No, I really want a Green Sun for X equals 2 to shut this off. Am I realistically going to shut that off? Or do I just want to shuffle those cards? I'm going to try to shut it off. I was planning on shuffling, just getting a Noble Hierarch. Not sure about that anymore. I can try to shut it off. Play a Tifa. My opponent draws their card, loses 1, and we'll see if this just solos the game. My opponent's back up to 6 cards in hand from the 2 that they had last turn. Ancestral with Fog attached, confirmed good. Alright, so that is targeting the Nadu. So I get 1 card deeper there. There's a Tamiyo, which is scary. That's consign. So here's to hoping that that does a lot of work. And Endurance, sure. That is a reasonable blocker. My opponent puts some bad cards back into my deck. Opponent loses 2. Tamiyo gets a clue, which is not currently live, but I will expect it to become live later on. Ponder's fine. 1 more card draw will flip Tamiyo. Okay, opponent is respecting death by getting rid of Tifa, which is why I played that Tifa out earlier. It was in hopes of saving my Nadu. My own Endurance, that's not bad. I think I am not trying to turbo through this game currently. I think we are settling in for a grind. Opponent takes 2, goes to 12. Fetchland is probably not what my opponent wants, although that does represent Mystic Sanctuary. What is this? Oh god. Yeah, that'll do. That is brutal. So now my opponent has active One Ring again. So I'm going to play a Scythecat Cub, I think do the thing. So do counters, I think I'll brainstorm. Multiple consigns. I don't want these hierarchs. I think I'm just going to fetch and leave up consign for another One Ring. All at a turn there. Dryad Arbor has been used. Dryad Arbor has not been used. Alright, you get a bunch of cards. And you go down to 9. Draw a gajillion D. Opponent has a 9-card hand currently. Land drop. Ending is happening. That isn't, though. I'm going to counter that. And my hope is that I kill my opponent with their own 1 ring. 4 damage and then 5 damage is 9. Opponent is down to 8. And drops a Tamiyo. That's fine. Wish I had another oof. I just need to hold up this consign, maybe with replicate even. I'm gonna try to ambush this. No, I'm never gonna ambush it with the 1 ring. So opponent goes to 4. Drops a land. Goes to combat. I can't successfully ambush this. Yeah. I'll let that go. And I can consign with replicate a 1 ring if my opponent plays one. That's Uro instead. So when my opponent has priority, they will be able to cast this Uro, green, green, blue, blue. So I need to play Endurance right now. Or Bojuka Bog right now. Might be better. Yeah. Let's crop rotation. Bojuka Bog the graveyard immediately. Those things are now permanently answered. Opponent goes up to 7. They're not dead to the 1 ring yet. Damn it. Okay. You're alive. I'm still holding this, by the way. In case the last card my opponent has is another 1 ring. It's another Uro. Okay. Hate that. I guess I will Endurance that one. Opponent up to 16. That triggers Tamiyo. And opponent sacrifices this. They'll plus Tamiyo. I think this is the moment to cast this Endurance. Brink that stuff. But my opponent has 9 cards in hand. I'm no longer killing them with their own 1 ring. They just gained too much life between 2 Uros and swords on Uro. We will do our best to wiggle our butt, though. Not that. I'll hold that. Attack face. 5 puts you to 10. 2 puts you to 8. 6 plus 2, theoretical lethal. I think go face. I guess I don't want to always yield to that, because occasionally I might respond to it. A specific deck. Opponent at 8. I don't think we are going to reach the I can deck you stage, but it might be a conversation. That's a new 1 ring. I will hopefully counter that. Damn, these Force of Wills. That fog effect, obviously very, very strong here. Now opponent has 8 cards in hand with an active Planeswalker and a Clue chilling. And I have an empty board. I imagine that is going to do it. I think the margins are tight enough that I play this one out. Like, I don't know how many physical threats are remaining in my opponent's deck. Yeah. So, there's a Tifa. I never get those lands back. I think I'm fine doing that. I'm trying to save the fetch lands. My opponent has 8 cards remaining in library. They have a 15-card hand, but they do need to present a way to kill me. That'll do. I'm very bad at actually answering creatures. We'll see how they feel about permanently going down a bunch of mana sources to get that Uro in play. I think you do it. Yeah, they do it. So, opponent at 13 life, 6 cards in library. It takes them 3 attacks. No, it takes them a lot of attacks to kill me. I'm at 21, actually. Yeah, it takes them 4 attacks. There's an Endurance. I don't know if I cast that immediately. Maybe I cast it with the intention of chump blocking with it. The opponent has 5 cards remaining in library. Tamiyo does Tamiyo stuff. I think I wait 1 turn before doing it. And I see if I hit a green fetch land before casting it. That's 15. Opponent is fetching. It's not hitting. All that good. Yeah. Fetch. 14. Where the fuck is my basic island? Oh no. How did that get into my graveyard? Unsure. Yeah, I don't know when that happened. I think I'm now going to go ahead and cast an Endurance. And I think this is just going to get a Force of Will from my opponent. Yep. The opponent has 2 cards remaining in deck. They're going to draw 1 from their draw step and draw 1 from an Uro trigger. This is basic forest if I need it. I don't know how they kill me. They need another creature. Like an Endurance that shuffles their cards back in does it. Weird game. Yeah, opponent says GG. I unfortunately see now that my Endurance is exiled. Ooh, that is a win, and one of the weirdest ones we've had on the channel in a long time. Great match, GG. Alright, this is going to be a hand where Unstable Mutation gets another attempt to possibly shine. So game plan is Hierarch on 1, Tifa on 2, double Unstable Mutation, Tifa kill on 3. Resolves. This will go on Wasteland in the dark. Yep. Now that Daze was the draw, I play Tropical Island instead of Forest on 1. And I'm just going to double check my oof is in the board, right? Not the main deck? Yes. I do not want to Daze. Yes. Uh-huh. Fuck. Okay. Yes. That occurs. Oh shit, I just drew Tifa? I do not believe that well... Okay, hold on, just quick check. So play Tifa, don't play land, pass turn. Unstable, unstable is 7 power Tifa, doubled to 14. Will that kill my opponent? My opponent will be at 17, maybe 2 lower than that, 15. I don't think that's good enough. I think I'm going to leave this up and leave open the possibility of brainstorming. So there's 17. Opponent draws some cards before doing the Urza Saga thing. Floating mana, or a key. Hate that in either direction. Workshop. Opponent has so much mana. Daze is not live. Ooh. Oh, we're going big. Fuck. So I can Daze that, but it sure still exiles this. That's unfortunate. I'm gonna brainstorm in response. Cool. Gonna have 7 loyalty, which humorously unstable. Well, might have 9 loyalty, right? No, I'm just countering it. Counter it and Green Sun for another Tifa. I use Daze here. I probably use Force of Will pitching this Brainstorm. That means that I shuffle away Noble Hierarch and redraw Green Sun. Okay. By Tifa, get Dazed. And we're going to try to play a new Tifa. Man, it sucks that I don't have Game 1 Collector Oof. Alright. 13. Opponent draws 2 more. 7 cards in hand now. Sorry, 3 more. Has the 1 ring too. Or sorry, has Manifold Key for the 1 ring if they need more. Okay, so they are going for mana. Don't play another fucking Ugin. That cast trigger is going to eat me alive. This is 4 mana floating. I think I need Tifa in play to have a realistic chance at stealing this game, but I think my opponent used that as bait. It's just such tasty bait that I have to take it. That is a Karn. I don't think I care about this turn, and I'm just hoping that the top card of my deck is a fetch land. Actually, a regular land will do too. I will have 7, 8 power, maybe doubled to 16, maybe slightly less than that. Yeah, and Staring Bridge is coming. That is a 3rd unstable mutation that I cannot cast because of basic forest. Is double unstable mutation enough with the 1 ring? 3, 6, 7, 8, plus 3. Dead. Shit. Unstable mutation, though. Yeah. So here's 7. I get the 8th from this Exalted trigger. Opponent is at 3. Unless they have some tricky way to gain some life, they die. Woo! Okay, Unstable Mutation. Worth its salt there. It feels like Unstable Mutation is easily the worst card in my deck until it does shit like that. And then it's like, well... 3x Consign, 1x Collector Oof, 1x Force of Negation, and I think Brazen Borrower falls into the maybe pile. I think my Nadus are bad. I think the game is just too fast for me to care about a 3-drop tap-out creature. The best thing Nadu does is be blue for the force effects, but I'm boarding out 4 blue cards and boarding in 4 blue cards, so that about evens out. Green Sun is slow, but it tutors Collector Oof, so I don't think I can cut those. My blue count is light. Maybe it's not quite as bad as it looks. Got 20. I don't know what the last card to cut is. Got 1 crop rotation, but I'm very unsure about it. Crop rotation accelerates me towards a kill, but I'm trying not to cut any blue cards because this stuff matters a lot. This is a pretty darn good hand. I don't know that I'm going to be able to stop everything that my opponent is capable of doing, though. Yes. So I will throw down a Hierarch. Then turn 2, I've got Scythecat Cub. Then turn 3, I have second Scythecat Cub. Alright, it's not a Tron land. That's the good news. E happens. Crypt happens. Just for turning on Metalcraft. So there is Scythecat Cub. There is land drop targeting Scythecat Cub. I don't think I get to use Force of Will on that. That happens. I could have fetched there and put a counter on Noble Hierarch. It might be more important to be flexible with Hedge Maze. Yes. 4 mana for Mystic Forge. No. Junk Brainstorm for that. I am going to look with Hedge Maze real quick. Despite the fact that there is utility in waiting. Daze. Daze can hit a Grim Monolith specifically, but otherwise I don't know that I'm the most excited about that. Okay. So there's Scythecat Cub. I'm going to do the thing that attacks right now. So counter there. Fetch. Do Hedge Maze again. Do this there. I'm trying to do something more proactive than that. So I hit for 3 this turn. The next turn I go land drop, 3 counters. Land drop, 6 counters. So I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Have things that just kill. Maybe that's good enough. I don't want it. 3 damage. Always yield to that. Opponent's at 13. There's a tower. Now my daze sucks. That is a Kozilek's command. So daze this turn would not have done anything. My daze next turn will probably not do anything either. This does not have trample. This does. Horrible Hole is very, very, very good. Daze would have gotten that. Now, like with all these lands and all these spawns, this card is pretty terrible. I think I hold my land drops and am unhappy. This is just going to kill a spawn. That's pretty good. I can't successfully daze that because of this Eldrazi spawn token. My opponent funneling mana into that will just kill it. Yeah. Sorry, kill me, more accurately. Yeah. I'll make a land drop, I guess, since I have 2 fetch lands at this point, but I'm gonna concede there. My opponent with that much mana and an unchecked One Ring is going to win. Let's go to the next game. That's very unfortunate. My opponent bottomed out for a while there. I could not convert. Maybe Bristly Bill not having trample is problematic. I'm going to take that out and put in 1 Brazen Borrower so that I do have an actual factual out to Hellbent Ensnaring Bridge. Believe Scythecat Cub plus Tifa just has such great potential for violence. I'm gonna try to believe. Opponent is going down to 5 cards, which means that my daze might do a lot of work in slowing them down. Let's get a Dryad Arbor. That allows me to start playing these out. Ancient Tomb. I need to just say no to that. Yeah, I just can't lose this Dryad Arbor when I don't have extra lands. Okay, nice. Now, I'm gonna play out a Tifa and pass the turn, and hopefully something absolutely awful doesn't happen here. Saga is fine. Member is not fine. It's happening, but it's not fine. I'd like to draw more land. Unstable Mutation, that's cool. I'm gonna play a Tifa, and I think not play a land. The +1/+1 counter from Scythecat Cub Landfall is potentially very, very relevant. Hello, Mr. Popo. Well, that's happening. That is a shame. I had so much damage. Okay, I will have so much damage slightly later then. So there's Scythecat Cub. There's a regular land drop. I think this counter is still going on Tifa. I might need to trample through a construct token. Edge Maze. I will junk. I have some draws like Collector Oof that matter a lot. My opponent has protection this turn, no point in attacking. My opponent gets their card, and we'll get 2 more from the next One Ring draw, 1 more from their draw step. They're going to have 6. You can get an Urza Saga key of some kind to untap that if they need to. Is Mox Opal, which doesn't have Metalcraft yet, but presumably will. Alright, there is a key from hand instead. Metalcraft is now on. It's a new fog. I've got lethal as soon as you'll give me the chance to do it. untapping the ring, going a little deeper. I think this now becomes edge across multiple different bodies. Tifa on her own is already lethal with these two cards. I think I go land drop, counters on Scythecat Cub. I don't actually need to fetch double the counters anywhere, although I could double the counters on Tifa. She's already lethal. Maybe I need her non-ironically to be more lethal, though, because I might need to trample through some stuff. And my opponent has protection. This is a new 1 ring. We're chilling there. Opponent takes 2, down to 7. Saga ticks up. Opponent has 10 cards in hand. I am scared. I don't think I win this on average. That is scary. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Voltaic Key. I'll take 1 more. That now means that my opponent can untap that 1 ring, which is certainly bad for me. Oh, they'll just play a new one. So my opponent has 1 ring fogged every turn in a row, and I think I've had lethal all 3 of those turns. Alright, they just passed there. In which case, I will play out another creature, and I will pass the turn, and hopefully I don't die. I feel like I should die. My opponent can untap this again if they want to go deeper. They might not. They do. They might be rationalizing that this next turn is, statistically speaking, likely their last turn of the game one way or another. Either they kill me, or they have to find their last 1 ring, or they bleed out. And they have 33 cards remaining in deck. Even if they draw a bunch of them, like, they might not hit the last one. Power, lots of mana. And second Fleshraker. I'm so screwed. Grim Monolith plus 3 keys in play plus ring probably means that I'm dead. I'm going to give you the spark notes here. Oh. Yeah. I'm going to lose 1 threat when that's cast. I'm going to lose a second the next time my opponent casts a colorless spell. I'm at 2. And my opponent can now kill me by attacking with Clearing Fleshraker or just by playing any other spell. That's frustrating. I fully do not believe that the 1 ring is going to be legal a year from now in Legacy, and I have said that many, many times. Alright, so how do we feel about John's blue-green landfall deck? Honestly, we're 1 ring away from a 4-1 there, and I think we played some pretty good Magic today. I'm largely going to give this one a thumbs up. I don't know what I think about Unstable Mutation. I am generally of the opinion that this is nowhere near a Legacy power level card. But did it get some surprise kills on some Planeswalkers? Yes. Did it potentially allow Tifa to do some crazy things? Yes. Did it pitch to Force of Will? Yes. John, I understand why it's in the deck. Like, I get it. I suspect that the deck maybe needs about 1 more land. You just physically cannot keep hands in most cases that do not have 2 mana sources. Maybe you don't need the full 4 Unstable Mutations. Maybe that's still the worst card. Like, maybe you just turn that into an extra land, an extra crop rotation, a Talon Gates of Madara to protect your creatures mid-combo. Maybe Sajiri instead, actually. You don't exactly want to phase the creatures out if you're trying to deal big damage. You'd rather protect them. Yeah, maybe a Sajiri. But generally speaking, I think these numbers feel about right. The post-sideboard games... let me reconfigure this. So the post-sideboard games are a little bit weird because I feel like these cards are linked in a lot of cases where if you take out Unstable Mutations, the Force of Wills become bad. And if you take out Force of Wills, then Unstable Mutation lost one of its secondary uses and is worse than it was in Game 1, where it was already maybe questionable. I don't hate Unstable Mutation versus combo. Like, the ability to just close out the game faster when you are just trying to goldfish each other is very real. But anytime you want to bring in a pile of fair-ish things, like your Endurances and your Brazen Borrowers, those just feel like they're the first things to go. Yeah, so John, I like what you were cooking here. And I think we'll call it a day there, folks. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, consider leaving a comment on the way out or a like, whatever. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. All that sort of stuff is going to help out a lot right now as I try to raise a little money for some house repairs. All right. See ya.